Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And yes, we are back with Dana, the CEO of Himlane. How you doing, Dana?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Once again, coming to us crystal clear from Africa. That is so cool to me.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing about today's time where you can remotely manage your properties as well as travel and work from anywhere as long as you have good signal. So highly recommended if you can get out there, get out to Africa. There's really good Wi-Fi here. They don't have regulations on towers or anything like that. So.
You just carry a tower with you, I guess. You just put it on the back of the car.
Exactly.
That's funny. But what I want to talk about in this episode, kind of following on the first episode of getting to one and what happens there, 1 to 5, right? 1 to 5 units. And unlike in the first one where you can get lucky, I think the law of averages catches up with folks as they get 1 to 5. And kind of the rule of 3 can sneak up and bite you. And that's where, you probably got lucky with 1. You're like, hey, mailbox money, it's easy. Maybe you don't put as much rigor into buying the second, the third, the fourth, and you haven't adopted true processes and procedures yet. And what you're very quickly going to find out is if you haven't done that, it's going to catch up with you and it's going to get uncomfortable, and you're going to very quickly be kind of absorbed with, I don't know if the word's problems or challenges, but the lack of processes and procedures is going to get you as you scale and you don't adopt them. That's what I see with people, going from 1 to 5, for example.
Yeah, the other thing I would say with it is most people who are in the 5 or below category are also working full-time jobs.
Absolutely.
And so when you have 1 and you're working a full-time job, it's kind of like a fun hobby on the side that it's like, oh, this is kind of fun to learn on Saturday and it takes me an hour. And you get lucky, like you said, you have a tenant that just pays on time, not a lot of drama. If there's a tiny bit, it's like not that worrisome. You're right. Once you get to that 3, 4, 5 marker, what ends up happening is it feels like a second job, not a full-time job, but a part-time job. And that suddenly when you're like, okay, when a maintenance call here or there and whatever, but then suddenly it's like, oh gosh, I got 2 maintenance calls on this day. This is frustrating. I'm trying to get to this dinner. And that's suddenly where, when you don't have processes or you don't have help or you're not optimizing your time and focused on the next 10 rentals and how are you going to get there? That's, I feel like, when people start saying, maybe I should get out of this business. And it's really interesting when you look at the numbers of like distribution of people who own properties. It's people who have under 4 properties or people who have over 20. There's very few actually in that 4 to 20 marker. Yeah. And I actually believe it's because of this.
Yes.
People who then have that like 5 or below suddenly are like, oh, this is too much. Like if I get another 7 or 8, this is too much. Versus the people who actually are strategic and put the processes in place. Once they get 20, like getting another 10, it's like, okay, no, I've got everything set up. I know how to do it, and you have formulas down. So there's one thing I would warn you about is you can make it a part-time job, especially if you have more than 1. And you don't want that, because the last thing you want to do is worry about the administrative stuff rather than the financial opportunity and what your goal and passion is, which is 1 rental at a time, building up this passive income. And so from that perspective, I would just give that warning that you need processes and procedures in place. You need to invest some money in the operating costs and making sure things are running effectively and you have people to help you. Because otherwise you're going to say, oh, this is too much. I don't want to do 10 properties, and lose the end goal that you have in mind.
Yeah, I think that was so well said. And I see the same thing, right? You have 1, you get lucky, you kind of use the word, it's easy. You get a couple more, just the size, and right, they're your clients, they're your customers. The houses are likely older. Stuff starts to break, and it does become that part-time job. And if you could take yourself out of it, you probably could still see it's good financially. But when you're in it and you're working a 50, 60-hour day job and raising a family and then have to deal with other drama, it quickly becomes, I'm done, I'm out, I can't do it. And either A, you stop growing, which is unfortunate, or worse, you just sell them off as a frustrated landlord, and you're back to doing something else. So yeah, you can get away with ad hoc and kind of reactions with one unit. Once you get to like 3, 4, 5, that is my experience. It's not going to work. You've got to have process procedures. You got to have rules of the lane, like what's an emergency, what's not. The eviction process, you got to have I mean, it's just, if you don't have processes and procedures, you're not getting past 5. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've noticed, at least this happened to me, and I think this happens to most, is even when you educate yourself and know some things up front, there's some things you just don't do. And you're like, oh no, I'll just kick the can down the road and I'll deal with it when I get there. Like evictions are one of the biggest ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does become emotional. And from that perspective, you knew you should have done something up front. Like you should have served that notice on day 5, not waited till day 29. You should have not listened to all the excuses, and you should set up a process and make it professional, but you didn't, because you had these one-time exceptions. And so I do see that happen significantly with that kind of 2 to 5, and a lot of times with 1, if you do have a bad tenant, but with 1, a lot of people just get lucky, to our point. So I would say that from that perspective, it's like you do really want to make sure you get that stuff set up front and make sure that you have something in writing of how you're going to handle every situation, and then make sure you abide by that. The one other thing I would say is I've noticed when you're in that under 5, it's like nothing happens, and then all of a sudden everything happens at once.
Exactly.
That was my experience, where it was like a super passive. Oh wait, no, there's all this stuff going on right now, and this is frustrating and stressful, and you lose your mind over it. And if you did have those processes and procedures set up, like I need to respond to maintenance and repair request within 24 hours. I need to initiate a service professional by then. I need to make sure I follow up on it. Then you haven't kicked the can down the road on that one. Then that tenant's mad. Then you have another one coming in, and you forgot it was this person's home. I think I did that where it was like a washer or dryer that needed to be replaced. I was like, oh yeah, we'll do it. But the Home Depot can't deliver it for 3 weeks. And then suddenly something else came up, and it was like, I wasn't acting professional. Like, no, I need to find an alternative. They need it now. We just need to get this done, act professional through the process. And once you have more, you know how they always say, like, the person who is the busiest, give them the task, they'll get it done faster than anyone else. It's the same thing. The more rentals you have, the more you just like, okay, I need to get this done, make sure to handle it professionally, next thing. And I feel like when you're in that 2 to 5 marker, you're a little bit more relaxed about things. And so you're not getting things done, and then everything bottles up at once, and it's a lot for you. So just something also to keep in mind.
Yeah. The other thing that I think falls through the cracks when the 2 to 5, if you're trying to do it reaction areas, you're just reacting on the loudest or the noisiest thing, right? The thing that's most urgent, but you're also failing to track, right? One of the things you'll really appreciate as a landlord, the longer you're in this, is history. When was the last time I repaired the water heater? When is this? When is that? And if you don't have the tracking or online systems to help you, you're going to go from memory. And trust me, all of our memories aren't very good, especially as we're firefighting. So that's one of the reasons I had you create that 30-day free trial POC, so people can go create all the repair requests, all the tenants they want, so they can get in the game and practice being a landlord of multiple units. So you want to tell me the URL to get to that?
Yeah, it's www.hemlane, which is in the corner here, HEMLANE.com. One of the coolest things actually that we have in there, to your point, Michael, is repair instructions.
Exactly.
How you have things handled, where is everything located, what type of heating system do you have, like everything that you would literally need, that in the case of emergency, you can just jump in there and you know how to handle it. So that's one thing I would say with the 30-day free trial. Get that set up in Hemlane, so you at least have all of that documented.
Yeah, folks, the 30-day trial POC goes a PDF in the free course, and the paid course is a series of videos. Go practice, right? A lot of you are telling me, hey, Michael, I've already looked at my buy box for 20 or 30 minutes. I want to do more. Go practice being a landlord. That is what I would tell you to do. So Dana, thank you very much, and look forward to episode number 3.
Yeah, likewise.